continuing with the Fairlife Coca-Cola theme. This is a presentation by Mike Ritchie, Vice President of Costage Engineering, on the sanitary sewer main upgrade upsize projects. So I'm going to hand the baton to Art Citrone and Mike Ritchie.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you. My name is Mike Ritchie from Costage Engineering. Our office was retained by the town initially to analyze the capacity of the existing sanitary sewer in relation to the Fairlife project. The project limits is shown on this slide. It's from the intersection of Filch Road and Schlegel to Salt Road, through the private drive, north of Xerox, through the Bolter Industrial Park, across Basket and terminating at Tibor Road. Some of the early things we did in this project, we got involved with a flow monitoring company, and what they did was they installed flow meters in 4 separate manholes at confluence points in the network, and they gathered data for 2 months. And that was important so we could get a baseline flow and understand the existing capacity of the sewer. Early on, we had discussions about what the anticipated additional flows would be entering this sewer network, and we wanted to know what the existing conditions reflected, if the system was near capacity or if it had excess capacity. The network itself contains about 12,500 feet of sewer pipe and 57 manholes. As I said, we did the flow metering and to determine the impact of the sewer network. Through this, we determined about 770 gallons per minute was the peak flow at the downstream end of the network. And again, the capacity of the sewers were calculated based on the diameters of those pipes, the slopes of those pipes. We did complete a field survey and get information on every pipe, every manhole through that network. When we spoke with Fairlife, we were able to determine very specific flows from that team. They are proposing to do, I guess it would be flow mitigation or on-site storage to regulate the amount of flows that leave the site. And with a peaking factor added to that site alone will contribute over 2,000 gallons per minute to the network. So considerably more than was flowing through the network today. So in part of our calculations, in fairness to Fairlife coming into this project, we wanted to determine what baseline would that sewer pipe be at capacity, and we were able to determine that the majority of those were well in excess of capacity, some at 500% capacity when the Fairlife flows were added in. So with that, we were able to analyze what upgrades would need to be required in order to convey these proposed additional flows. And the project includes the removal of roughly the entire sewer network and upgrading those sewers in place of where they currently are, knowing that there were certain site constraints that would restrict major modifications to the layout, one being the easements that the existing sewers were located in to the level of the bedrock in which this existing sewer was laid. So our design plan was to essentially replace in kind and upsize as needed to convey those flows. So as you can see, the project will replace almost the entire sewer network. It will remove and replace 35 of the 57 manholes. We're able to modify 19 of those manholes to core them to accept the larger pipes in an effort to minimize costs of the project. And then existing sewer laterals will be temporarily out of line, and they will be brought back in during the project, and it's anticipated that no lateral connection or no stretch will be out for more than a working day, and that will be coordinated throughout construction. And then obviously lawns and driveways throughout the project route that will be disturbed will be repaired through the project. One of the other things that in meeting with town staff they wanted to look into was not just the capacity for this project, but capacity for future development in the area. So we worked with the town, and with some additional, I guess, minor improvements compared to the entire project, we're proposing removal and replacement of an additional 600 feet of sewer, upsizing 900 feet of sewer above and beyond what was necessarily required for the proposed project, and then anticipating future growth where while the contractors are out there, they're going to add 15 new laterals to vacant properties, so they will be available in the event that a developer would come to that property. Part of the project, we prepared a cost estimate. We utilized construction estimating software RS Means, as well as recent bids from local projects and conversations with some specialty contractors for some of the more specialty items. So our engineer's estimate for all the work associated with the 2,000 gallon per minute additional flow came to an estimate of 6.6 million, and then additionally the town upgrades for future capacity totaled another $200,000. So our total construction estimate is roughly 6.8, 6.9 million, we spent a lot of time and we went through a lot of detail to be specific in the items that were included. So we're confident in this estimate. And in terms of the project schedule, we've done a lot on this project. I know some of the next items coming up is the resolution with the town board. If that goes forward, then we will work with Art and town staff on putting out a legal notice and advertising for bids. It's anticipated that the bid opening will be mid-March, and that the contract can be awarded later in March, and it's expected or projected that mobilization for construction will start in May, and it's anticipated that substantial completion of all work will be done by the end of this year. So our office will be involved with inspections during the construction time, and working with Art and the contractor to make sure everything is done per contract. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions and go into more detail if the board has questions.
The question everybody had regarding this is your 7 months of construction seems pretty impressive for a project of this magnitude.
Yeah, and we went back and forth, and again, we talked to contractors, not specifically about this, but in terms of timing, roughly 300 feet a day, or what would be considered a barrel stretch a day, is considered reasonable. And we've gone through the portion along Schlegel is going to be the slower portion of the project, just because there's a lot of existing residents, there's not a lot of room, and the sewer in that area is very deep. But once you get over to the intersection of Schlegel and Salt, you're much farther off the right-of-way. There's not many properties or existing utilities in the way, and the farther you get to the proposed connection, the shale where the sewer is. So we're confident in that construction timeline, but again, we put for now in the contract documents the December date for substantial completion, and obviously the contractors bid on it. They're more than capable of working 2 crews at once to achieve that schedule. But we're confident that that date can be achieved.
Okay.
And just to preface, the substantial completion may not necessarily mean that all driveways are 100% repaired or all grass lawns are established. It's just that the town can utilize the sewer for its purpose. So the contractor wouldn't be absolved of his obligation to obviously finish it up and make sure mailboxes are put back the way they need to be and everything is completely restored. But that likely wouldn't occur until the spring of '25.
So who's responsible for communicating to our residents with respect to their lawns and driveways being disturbed?
So traditionally projects that the sewer department does, we reach out to them with letters and notices.
Okay.
And so when we've actually had to repair laterals, which we do every year, the contractor actually helps out as well, and they notify the residents that, hey, no sewer usage this day.
Okay.
And residents usually very understanding.
All right.
And there'll be a series of bypass pumping throughout the construction, because obviously, if they're replacing a section of sewer at a time, the rest of the main will need to be in full operation. So part of our cost estimate is the contractor having bypass pumping throughout, and that, strict conformance that they do not leave a trench open, that they do not have, incomplete sections of main overnight. So we're going to stress that, and that's in the bid doc, so we're going to stress that more with the contractor as well. Thank you.
Jen? Jen?
I have no questions. I know it's an ambitious schedule, but part of that is that we're also partnering with Coke Fairlife and meeting their schedule as well. So we're trying to bring these two together.
Well, then,
And they also, I must add, were in full agreement of having Costas do all these flow studies. We've been working with them
yes.
as we've gone through this process.
Yeah, Art, I think you can really answer that. The Coke team, because, and this is kind of a segue into the last presentation tonight, we wanted to keep them apprised of how we're going about this Wicks Law project. It's a municipal project. This is our pipes. This is the town's infrastructure. But we appreciated that, hey, Coke, this is really specific to your needs. And ultimately, you're going to pay for it. So we thought it was a good idea to make sure they were aware of how we were proceeding on our methodology of professional service, which engineering firm we picked, and why. Is that correct?
You're absolutely right, and both Costa and town staff has had several meetings with their engineering firm Haskell, and I think we were just about to complete we called the Haskell team in. We had a meeting. Actually, it was just Mike and Randy from Haskell. The smart folks in the room. They went back and forth and talked through it. I think that meeting went very well. We gave Haskell, I believe, 5 days to return any comments. They had no comments. I did reach out. I did receive an email from them. They liked where we were going.
And
A lot of balls in the air in this,
Yeah.
in this process.
it's crazy. The two questions I have are really, Mike, you guys, I appreciate the PowerPoint you put together for today. One question is just kind of form over function. We usually, Bridget, post these to our town website and social media platforms. I think your verbiage on each page speaks for itself, all right? Is there a way that on the overhead camera shots, if you could make the red lines and the green lines a little bit thicker?
Yep. Yep.
Maybe I'm just an old guy, my eyes can't see it well, but it might be nice to delineate that path of the proposed project and, maybe even on the second page, existing conditions. Just given what does the green line mean and what is the red line?
Sure, we can
Okay.
certainly touch that up. It's easier to see on a computer screen than an 8.5 by 11, but yeah, we certainly can make it more visually friendly.
Okay, and that's, like I said, Bridget, that's hand you more work, but in the aftermath of this, I mean, if you can help with that if needed, but that should be easy. And the other question is, and I think I know the answer, the Fairlife specific is about 6.6 million, 6.62 at this point. And I guess once bids come in, we'll know what it really is. And then there's the $207,000 that the town during this analysis said, as long as we're out there and digging in these easements and right-of-ways and whatever, having some vision for the future where there could be more development on the Xerox campus and other places, is it safe to say if you go from a 18-inch pipe to a 24-inch pipe and give you some added capacity, the cost addition is not an additional 25%.
Correct, it's minuscule. This would be the best time to make these upgrades because the nature of the Fairlight project requires the replacement of these sewer lines. So it's strictly the upsize from say an 18 to a 21 or a 24. The trench is already going to be dug, the contractor's already mobilized, so it's strictly the cost upsize of these pipes. So it's the most cost advantageous for the town to do it now than some other time in the future.
Will the bids, because obviously, as we segue into the next presentation, we're going to be at the table, Paul, you'll be involved in this, Charlie, whatever, tying up the details of some semblance of an industrial use agreement contract of how Coke is paying for this. Will it be easy to delineate, like, within the bids of which is the Fairlight specific and which is the town
Yeah, well,
additional?
the final P sheet will be similar in nature to the estimate, obviously without the unit prices listed, but we'll give them quantities. We'll clearly state what's strictly for the Fairlight and what is, we call it an add alternate or additional.
Sure.
But that's all, it'd be part of the base contract, and it would all be done at the same time, but we can clearly delineate the costs associated with just the Fairlight and just the town.
And last but not least, and Art, going back to what you said, Coke and Haskell and maybe Probst, all of those Coke engineers and sewer aficionados and Fairlight, they're aware through this process that we are probably looking at not just upsizing those 12,000 feet of pipe to accommodate them, but also go up a little bit more for future growth.
You're
Not for
absolutely
them,
right.
future growth for
You're
lateral
absolutely
bids
right.
from other places.
And I think the whole group, we talked to them about it, many months ago, and absolutely assured them that, there would be a line in the bid.
Yeah.
This is theirs, this is ours, and they are all on board with that.
That's all I got. Anything else?
Just makes sense to do it all at the same time, considering you're taking this property and it's the largest construction in, what, like 50 years? It would make sense. It's just setting up Webster for the future. And, there's a lot of opportunity in that Xerox property. Xerox has been shrinking throughout the years. And there's the Tessie plastics, and I think there's a tremendous opportunity to do something different in that space, very similar to maybe what they have in Kodak Elm Grove over time. So this would definitely enable us to be able to do that, do it right the first time.
Jenny?
Like I said, just hoping that everything just goes smoothly the way we predict. And there shouldn't be any mishap or anything, and we don't have to cooperate, follow through and stay with us, a long way.
Mike, thanks.
Thank you.
All right.